Hello, everybody. Well, welcome to StraightA. Dawson here with our NFL Week 14 predictions video. Most of the guys, we're all still in university, and some of them at undergrad, some of them coming into graduate school, whatever. But they have finals week this week, and I'm kind of finishing up a lot of my stuff as well. So, going to be a little bit more of a chaotic week. But when is it? When is it not? Honestly, at this point, it's more abnormal. For it to be a usual week. Either way, hopefully we'll see the guys soon. Hopefully we can pump out a lot of content over the break. But either way, I'm staying consistent. I'm staying out here. I'll get all their picks together and everything good under the sun. But on screen now, you're going to see the current 2023 NFL season prediction leaderboard. Couple notes to make before we get started. Wyatt's World and TPS's predictions. I had them wrong on the leaderboard. Went back and made it more accurate to what they had in store. So I went ahead and made some adjustments there. Otherwise, everything else, no one's really said anything about it being wrong. So far, so good. It's how it's supposed to be looking. But the race is getting closer and closer. The betting line is still, kind of far and away above. So Vegas is doing well there at 127 and 66. But in first place, for the first time, tied for first place in terms of the other everybody else, depending on how you look at it. Ryan is in first place, 121 and 72, doing very, very well. Finally, Trayton's been kicked off the guys' leaderboard. But Tom Grossi, the kind of the special little fun guest that we put on here, 121 and 72 as well. So they're taking up second place right behind the betting line. And Kevin Walsh, fall from grace, 120 to 73. Too bad 2 weeks for him. So we'll see if he's able to kind of come back from that. While I am sitting in very modest fifth place at 119 and 74. Wyatt's World's a little bit behind me with a little gap there, 115 and 78. Tied with Trayton, also 115 and 78. But nipping at his toes in eighth place, Ben Hayes, 114 and 79. And TPS rounding out the bottom, but more respectable, 110 and 83. If you're curious where Taylor and Braid would be, they would still be between Ben and TPS. They're exactly tied, actually. They are exactly tied in terms of percentages and stuff like that. So it's kind of weird and cool, I guess. But either way, we're going to roll with the punches from there, and we're going to get right into the predictions. I got all the betting lines and all that cooked up right here, too. So we're getting all that good and ready to go. Now, I'm using a different layout. I feel like this is kind of a little bit cooler for these one-on-one stuff. That way I don't have to edit as much, too. And if everybody else's predictions will be at the end of the video. I'll just kind of have time to put that at the end if y'all want to see them. But I'll quickly go through and talk about all these games. Patriots at the Steelers. I'm giving it to the Steelers. The Patriots are a poverty franchise currently, and the Steelers at least have a semi-good team at times. Granted, the run game is going to be the main thing that kind of keeps them into the conversation here, for me at least. Next up on this list, and the Steelers have a -6 advantage there, by the way. Next up, the Jaguars at the Cleveland Browns. This game's a little tough because Trevor might be out, but I think Trevor's coming back, and I think the Jaguars are going to get back on pace and do really well. I think the Browns' defense has been playing a little bit poorly. The offense can't get anything really together. It could be a better game for the Browns, but the Jaguars have overall looked better, and I think even with the backup, they could probably still eke out a win against the Browns. It's a tougher game, but I like Jacksonville here. The Cleveland Browns do have a -3 spread right now in favor of themselves, so it's a more risky pick depending on whether you want Trevor or whether you think Trevor Lawrence is coming back or not. But I think he is, because they really need to stay competitive. If you're looking at the divisions on the side here, they're 9-4, yeah, but Colts and Texans are right behind them, and they have some interesting matchups as well this week. So I think Jacksonville needs to kind of keep up some of these easier wins, and Cleveland Browns without an offense can probably be an easier win for them to pick up. So that's kind of what I think there. The Houston Texans at the New York Jets. The Houston Texans have a -3.5 spread. I think that's way too low. I think it should be like -4.5, -5.5. Texans are taking this. New York Jets are poverty without a good quarterback, and their defense is just struggling so much. So Texans, I think, will easily go 8-5 with that win. Next up, though, is the Indianapolis Colts at the Bengals. And the Bengals actually have a -1.5 advantage here. Now, granted, Jake Browning looked really, really good, and it kind of is making me think, like, if the Colts win this, it makes it less interesting. But if the Bengals win this, it makes the standings for the AFC a lot more interesting real quick. And so it's now asking the question, do I think the Bengals are actually going to miss the playoffs, or do I think they're going to eke it out? And because both teams have been playing very, very well. The Bengals at their top tier right now, with Jake Browning doing as well as last week, could easily beat the Colts team. But I don't think Jake Browning is going to do that. I don't necessarily think the Colts are necessarily the best team out there either, but they're still a pretty good offense. They got a respectable defense. The run game is a little iffy right now with Jonathan Taylor momentarily out, but it's hard for me to really pin out and say the Bengals are going to win this when they have just been struck. Like, I think they're still finding the identity stuff. Now, it's hard for me to say that the Colts are going to win this too, just because I think their offense in general is very hit or miss, and I don't think they're as a competitive of a team that's going to be reaching for the playoffs. Also, that's 8-5. I'm at 9-5 for the Texans. I realize that. So I'm not too sure who to pick here. I'm going to narrowly say I think the Bengals can eke out the victory with mostly a run game. I think that's really what's going to come down to, is that I think both quarterbacks are going to struggle a little bit. I think the Colts defense is slightly better. I think the Colts offensive line is slightly better. But the Bengals, if they are the best they can be at home, they can eke out a victory with Jake Browning. It's a tougher game, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm still kind of debating whether I want to change over to the Colts. But I think the Bengals winning this we're going to come back to this one. Because I'm really not too sure. Because I really want to pick the Colts now I think about it. But a game I'm actually very interested in the Buffalo Bills at the Kansas City Chiefs. Two teams. Buffalo Bills are down bad right now. The Chiefs are not down bad, but they're down a little bit right now. And I'm not too sure that I think this game is going to be very interesting implications as well, similar to the Colts and Bengals game. Very interesting implications of this, and honestly, even the Broncos-Chargers has a little bit of interesting implications behind it. Beside the point, I just don't see Buffalo being negative. And I know it's an Arrowhead. I know it's against Kansas City. I know it's against Patrick Mahomes. I'm going with the Buffalo Bills. They're off a bye week, which normally I consider a bad thing. And I still think it's a bad thing because I think they need to have more momentum going into this. But I cannot see the Buffalo Bills going 6-7. It's hard for me to say that the Chiefs are going to go 8-6 though. But the Chiefs have just not looked as good. The Buffalo Bills offense can eat that defense, and I think Patrick Mahomes has been struggling against some of these better offenses or better defenses. And I think the Buffalo Bills need this more. And this is more of probably of a heart pick because I think I'd rather see the Buffalo Bills take the Chiefs down a notch again and really make the AFC interesting. That would make this division even more interesting depending on whether the Broncos win. Which, moving to the Broncos and Chargers, I think the Broncos will take the victory here. Honestly, I do think the Chargers and Broncos are going to split. I think that's inevitable. And I think this is the game to pick the Chargers. However, I just think the Broncos are looking better as a team. The Chargers give up way too much. The defense is suitable, but the offense of the Broncos is pretty dang good, while the offense of the Chargers is explosive at times. But with how iffy Brandon Staley has been keeping leads, I think the Broncos, with how they've been taking leads, could either maintain a lead just above Brandon Staley or easily take it over. It could be one of those things, I'll be honest with you. I'm probably going to pick the Broncos in both these games at the moment just because I see nothing great about this Chargers team except their explosivity and the roster they have around them. The Broncos have just been consistently good, and it's hard for me to bet against them. The Broncos are not favored, though. It's the Chargers, I think, favored by -2.5. So it's a little bit interesting. I'm still going Broncos. I think they're going to split. So if Broncos win here, I'll probably pick the Broncos there. If the Chargers win here, I'll still pick the Broncos next time. So we'll see. Or maybe I'll just be high on my horse and say the Broncos are going to sweep the Chargers. Who knows? I'll probably choose Broncos both times either way, but it's beside the point. By the way, Titans and Titans, Dolphins. Dolphins easily taking that out. The Titans are not doing very well. Dolphins are explosive. Out and done with that. Rams at Ravens. I mean, they're going to come off that bye week, and I know normally it's bad for the teams on bye week, and I still again think it is bad, but the defense of the Ravens is too good. I would consider this a closer game if the defense or if the offense of the Ravens is worse or the defense of the Rams is better, but the Ravens offense is really good. The Ravens defense is really good. Rams offense is really good, but the Rams defense is just so iffy. It's in Baltimore. I think Baltimore's going to compete with the Dolphins for this number 1 seed. And I think this is a game they really need to pick up a win on. I think that the Rams have been hot for 2 games. I think they're going to slow down a little bit. Matthew Stafford, I don't think, is as good as he's shown. It's hard to pick here, but I'm going Ravens. I think this could be an upset, but I think the Ravens have more consistent. This does feel like a game the Ravens could just randomly lose. I will say that. But beside the point, I think the Ravens are going to take it home. Vikings over the Raiders, I think that's a pretty easy pick for me as well. They're both coming off bye week, so nothing really to take into consideration there. Other than that, the Raiders overall have an okay roster. They're doing fine, but the Vikings are still competing. And while the Raiders don't have that motivation behind them, Josh Dobbs, I think, has now got rested up. He's gotten more familiar with the system. The Vikings have this overall better weapon core, and their defense is not horrible either. They just have to maintain a run against Josh Jacobs. or maintain their defense against the run against Josh Jacobs, and they'll be fine. So I'm going to go with the Vikings here. Moving to the NFC now, we're going to Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Atlanta Falcons. Of course, Atlanta Falcons are favored by -1.5 here. I'm going Bucks. I think I've died on this hill saying the Falcons are not very good, or the Vikings are kind of not fraudulent, but they're not the team I think people are looking at them as, and I just don't believe in the Falcons. I think the Falcons are beat the Bucks earlier this season, so it kind of gives me more room to stand on. I don't necessarily love the Bucks either. I like the Bucks over the Falcons. Now, that's me dying on a hill that I've been fighting on this whole season. So the Falcons could easily, and the run game could get going, and they could randomly have a good passing game, which they have had good passing games. So it's, you take that as you will. But I have to pick the Bucks here. They have the Lions at the Bears. The Bears had their Cinderella story. They're doing very well, but the Lions are just another team, another big team. It's a divisional game, so anything can happen, but I'd be stupid to pick the Bears here, to be honest with you. Same with the Panthers at the Saints. I mean, I'm taking the Saints. I think the Panthers are going to pick up another victory, just like I think the Eagles are going to pick up another loss before the season's over. But I just think that the Saints are just overall a better team, better roster, and I think the Saints are going to go in and win this game against the Panthers. If the Panthers do upset the Saints, divisional game, whatever, I'll take the L there. But the Saints, I think, have just a better foothold that they can sink their teeth into. Seahawks at the 49ers. 49ers, I'm not going to doubt them till the day I die this season. Eagles at the Cowboys. This is actually favored for the Cowboys, and I'm picking the Cowboys because I think the Eagles have a really easy rest of the season, but I think the Cowboys are just too good right now. Now, what does this mean? This means they're coming off a mini-bye, and which I think is good. I think mini-byes are better for these teams. The Cowboys' offense has just been rocking and rolling. The defense of the Cowboys has been suitable enough, while the Eagles have been struggling in both those categories at times. This is not me knocking the Eagles. I think the Eagles are still a top 3 team. I've shown that in my power rankings. But they just don't have as much momentum going right now. They got halted big time by the 49ers. They may have more motivation to go into Dallas and win this game. I just don't see it. I see the Eagles struggling against the Cowboys, especially in Dallas, and I see the Cowboys eking out a victory. I think this actually will be an explosive, nice little game to have, but I just do not see the Eagles winning this game, especially since I see them going 14-3. It's hard to go 15-2, and they could drop a random game later, but this is the only qualified team left in the season to beat them, and I think I just have to take it. And you get the Packers at the Giants. Easily taking the Packers here. Giants, they're fine. They've been doing better, making some small improvements here and there. Packers are red hot. Packers are red hot and ready to take, go into the wild card and make it there in the playoffs. I think the Giants are kind of more so, being halted a little bit. They don't know exactly what they're doing just yet. So I think the Packers take this win. But the Giants, I've been very impressed with that. So if we're looking real quick, this is kind of me analyzing my own stuff real quick. The Steelers are not an upset. The Jaguars technically an upset. Texans are not an upset. Skipping this game for the moment. Buffalo Bills are technically an upset. Broncos are an upset. None of these teams are upsets. Bucks are an upset. So that's 4 teams upset. And none of these other games are upsets. So I have 4 upsets right now. I could go a 5th upset and go with the Colts. I'll be honest with you. This is the one game I'm still iffy about. And I just don't know if I can go with the Colts. I'll be really honest with you. I don't know if I can. I think the Bengals really showed that Jake Browning can be something. And I'm nervous about the Colts. Colts are randomly good and randomly not good. And the Bengals defense is really what's screwing me here. And, man, I don't know. They had a really damn good game against Jags, while the Colts struggled to win against divisional opponent in the Titans. I think I see the Bengals winning this. I'm going to go Bengals. I'm hesitantly still keeping the Bengals here, but the Colts easily could be a winner here. But I think I like this set of teams. I do like the Steelers or the Patriots, Jags. I think Trevor Lawrence is going to come back. Texans winning that. Buffalo Bills need a win. I think they have to. The Broncos over the Chargers. I think naturally I'm a Broncos fan, so I got to keep that a little bit. Dolphins winning, Ravens winning, Vikings winning, Bucks, Lions, Saints, 49ers, Cowboys, Packers. I think I like this for myself. So here on screen now will be everybody's predictions. I don't know whether I'll be able to do graphics and all that for them, or if it'll just be like a list of their names or list of the teams that they picked. Either way, it's going to be on screen right now. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like down below, and I will see you guys later. StraightA, Dawson out.